Welcome to Joseph Bourne's Uncensored, where we cover it all, the raw truth, no filter, for free. Trump has captured Maduro, Venezuela's socialist dictator, and all the leftists are getting pissed about it. So we're going to look at the sorry state Venezuela was in before Trump did that. Everyone in Canada needs to see this. So this is the sorry state of a country run by a socialist regime. Canada wants to be socialist so bad, they should take a look at this video. That's why I urge you, if you find any value in this, or you think that other people would find value in this, just like, comment, share, and subscribe so we can push this out to more audiences. So, since 2014, almost 8 million Venezuelans have fled the country in one of the largest Latin American exoduses in recent memory, according to United Nations Refugee Agency. So get this, 23% of the population has fled the country, and people continue to leave at an average rate of about 2,000 per day. More than 395,000 Venezuelans have been recognized as refugees, and more than 1.3 million have submitted asylum claims worldwide. If you look at the crime, according to the OVV, which is the Venezuelan Violence Observatory, since 2000, some 250,000 homicides have been committed, most of them with firearms, even though regular people can't own guns in Venezuela. To put in perspective how bad that is, in Canada, we've only had 15,000 homicides since 2000. Yeah, so it's literally insane. 98% of the cases involving human rights violations and 92% of common crimes go unpunished in Venezuela. They also report an increase in contract killings, with an average of at least 6.4 per week. In 2017, 106 people died every week at the hands of police or military officials. Insane. Then, if you look at hunger, 15% of the total population, which is around 4 million people, are urgently needing food assistance. 40% of the population are experiencing moderate to severe food insecurity. And still, Canada and the US really have leftists coming out in support of the socialist dictator Maduro. What's funny is that these are the same people protesting pro-Palestine. They literally just protest whatever they want all the time, even if it's just random. See, this is how Marxism works. The flag and the movement are irrelevant. The goal of Marxist ideology is to gain power by latching itself onto any movement that has supposed victim and oppressor narratives. Marxism is a reactionary ideology designed to attack any form of free market capitalism. The people of Venezuela are literally celebrating the removal of their socialist dictator, and people that don't know the situation or the history are calling Maduro, literally, this is not a joke, the man of the people. And why would they? Why wouldn't they? That's what the news outlets are spreading. Radio Canada literally calls him out, says, Nicolas Maduro, the man of the people with an iron grip. You can't make this stuff up. And for all those people worried about oil situation, don't worry, we're going to get into that. I just want to be very clear. Before he was forcefully removed, Mr. Maduro led an authoritarian government underpinned by the Chavismo, which is a political ideology which focuses mostly on state control or national assets and is associated with former military lieutenant colonel and socialist president Hugo Chavez. And Chavismo, also known as Chavism, is a left-wing populist and authoritarian political ideology. It combines elements of socialist patriotism and Latin America integration. So now, in terms of Venezuela democracy, even though Trump removed Maduro, it's unlikely to lead to an election soon. Usually, it would be held 30 days after the removal of Maduro, but Ms. Rodriguez, the former vice president, has now become the leader, and the High Court used a constitutional provision to declare Mr. Maduro absent temporarily after being taken by the U.S. government, which I guess that actually makes sense. The good thing that they have something for that, which means Rodriguez can actually hold on to power without an election for up to 6 months. Now, Trump also says he won't allow the same kind of government to run the country in the same way And we'll get into that, but this is the more important to note. So this person's in power now, and Trump's coming in saying, we're going to take over. Now, if you want to know how authoritarian Venezuela really is, the opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado, was banned from participating in presidential elections by the Maduro regime before the former diplomat Edmundo González Urrutia ran against him in her place in 2024. Urrutia showed proof that he won the election with an overwhelming majority, but still Maduro stayed in power. Now, here's the proof, because everyone's like, oh, how do you know this actually happened? Okay, on the day of counting the votes, an opposition accredited observer asked for a copy of the tally showing the total votes. A soldier refused and locked him away until after everyone voted. After leaving the building, an electoral official who, during the commotion, had secretly printed an extra copy of the voting tally gave it to the opposition accredited observer. Multiple similar situations happened that night involving tens of thousands of opposition volunteers. Turns out they knew something like this would happen because Maduro has been an authoritarian forever, and they made up a plan to stop it. After the Electoral Council announced Maduro won 51% of the votes compared to 44% of his rival, within 48 hours of the election, the opposition coalition announced that their candidate had won, and they had the evidence to prove it. They gathered 83% of the voting tallies, long printouts resembling till receipts, which showed that Maduro had in fact won just 30% of the vote compared to 67% for González. After Nicolas Maduro stole the election, thousands of protesters took to the streets. Authorities responded with a brutal crackdown, including killings and arrests, and other broader repressive tactics. So these people literally stole the election, and then they started attacking their own people. So this is a video of some of the protests that were going on. This is completely insane. These are literally armed officers attacking civilians after the president, Nicolas Maduro, literally stole the election. People are trying to say that, you know, this guy is the man of the people. Does this look like the man of the people? Is this what that looks like? Look at these people.
Solamente quiero uno que sea serio y que diga la verdad, pana, que sea serio y que diga la verdad. Ellos cayeron y están claros, hermano, están claros que cayeron. Por eso es que estamos en la pista, porque estamos claros que ganamos, ¿está claro?
Yeah, it is clear. I mean, look at all this. These people are literally attacking their own civilians.
Porque estamos cansados. Tengo 23 años viviendo el mismo gobierno.
I've been living here 23
y ha
years.
sido siempre lo mismo. Mierda con más mierda para seguirse revolviendo la mierda, ¿no? Ya basta. Yo quiero un futuro para mi hija. Yo no he podido estudiar. Salí del bachillerato y no pude irme para la universidad porque me tocó trabajar.
Leaders of the regime beyond and questioning the veracity of the transparency of the election. Independent exit polls indicated a landslide victory for the opposition Edmundo González.
Me emociona mucho decirles
This is
a
literally
todos
2024.
que tenemos
So this has been happening for like
el
almost 2 years.
73.20% de las actas.
They're announcing that they actually won.
Y que con este resultado,
With this result,
presidente electo es Edmundo González Urrutia.
There you go. There you have it. Leading up to the Venezuelans' election, July 28, 2024, authorities intensified repression targeting human rights defenders and opposition members with arrests and disqualifications and tightening restrictions on civic space. This is insane, guys. Canada is way better than this. After the election, the UN says that Mr. Maduro facilitated crimes against humanity in Venezuela, including kidnapping, torturing, and murdering civilians, which is we already know this is true based on the crime stats. This is why Venezuelans don't seem to be concerned about the oil, because under their stolen election dictatorship, they couldn't even benefit from the oil anyway. Now, Trump comes out with a speech after capturing Maduro. He says he will run the country, speaking of Venezuela, and says he will do it till they transition to a real democracy. And we know it's really not a social democracy at all, since Maduro stole the election in July 28, 2024.
We're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. So we don't want to be involved with having somebody else get in, and we have the same situation that we had for the last period of years. So we are going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. We want peace, liberty, and justice for the great people of Venezuela, and that includes many from Venezuela that are now living in the United States and want to go back to their country. It's their homeland.
See, I hope he means it, because this is really what we need in Venezuela. We need them to have a better economy. Like, this is completely insane. All the Venezuelans, my heart goes out to you. Like, I'm so sorry this happened. This is insane. I don't even know how to fix this. This is why I don't want Canada to get to this point. This is where we're heading. So, as much as leftists want to believe that Trump is trying to permanently occupy Venezuela, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And I would love for somebody to tell me that it does make sense and give me their reasons. But first of all, he's only president for another 3 years. Unless Republicans are going to lock in and overthrow the whole government and make Trump a dictator, which we'll see. But that's not going to be very easy or possible. Trump mentions restoring Venezuela so Venezuelans that move to the U.S. have the option to go back, which actually makes sense because he's been anti-immigration this whole time, and he's focused on getting people out of the U.S., and the U.S. will still benefit simply by liberating Venezuela. And if they liberate Venezuela, then they'll be able to get their oil anyway. They'll just buy it.
As everyone knows, the oil business in Venezuela has been a bust, a total bust, for a long period of time. They were pumping almost nothing by comparison to what they could have been pumping and what could have taken place. We're going to have our very large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly broken infrastructure, the oil infrastructure, and start making money for the country. This partnership of Venezuela with the United States of America, a country that everybody wants to be involved with because of what we were able to do and accomplish, will make the people of Venezuela rich, independent, and safe.
So Trump is literally saying he's sending American oil companies into Venezuela to liberate the oil in the country. And they're going to spend billions to fix the oil infrastructure. Okay, so let's get into Venezuela's oil. Venezuela is sitting on a massive 303 billion barrels worth of crude, about a fifth of the world's global reserves, according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration. This is what I think is a misconception, that Trump is infiltrating Venezuela because he wants the oil money. The truth is, that would take years of building to update the billions and billions of dollars. PDVSA says its pipelines haven't been updated in 50 years, and the cost to update the infrastructure to return to its peak production levels would cost $58 billion. So he's going to have to spend a ton just to get it done. Venezuela does have a lot of potential, though, obviously, so that's why he wants to occupy it and get their oil. Venezuela produces only 1 million barrels a day of oil, which is only 8% of the global crude production. However, that's less than half of what it produced before Maduro took over the country in 2013, and less than a third of the 3.5 million barrels it was pumping before the socialist regime took over. If we were to look at the current total value of Venezuela's oil, though, at $5 a barrel, which is what oil prices are trading at right now, Venezuela's total reserves are estimated to be over, this is an insane amount, $17.3 trillion. This is important for Venezuelans to know and everyone else in the world to realize. The U.S. has gained control of oil reserves worth more than the entire GDP of all countries in the world, aside from the U.S. and China. That's 4 times larger than the GDP of Japan. So this is an insane amount of oil. This is an insane amount of money, and America is about to be a crazy player in the game. Now, what we need to know about oil is that the United States is the world's largest oil producer, but it has light sweet crude, which is good for making gasoline, but not much else. So the reason why Venezuela oil is so special is because it's sour crude, which is crucial for certain products made in the refining process. So, including diesel, asphalt, fuels for factories, and other heavy equipment. Canada has both sweet and sour oil reserves, but the massive oil sands are heavy, sour crude. So the U.S. will likely try to get oil from Venezuela that they don't want to get from us. They will become our literal main competitor since the U.S. is taking control of it. That will eventually affect Canadian oil prices. Not doing it now, but very soon. Now, there's another part of Trump's speech that people need to see, and here it is.
Well, Cuba's an interesting case. Cuba is, not doing very well right now. That system has not been a very good one for Cuba. The people there have suffered for many, many years. And I think Cuba is going to be something we'll end up talking about, because Cuba is a failing nation right now, very badly failing nation. And we want to help the people. It's very similar in the sense that we want to help the people in Cuba, but we want to also help the people that were forced out of Cuba and living in this country. Do you want to say something about that, Marco, please?
Well, I mean, I just gave you a statement.
Marco's a sav.
When the president speaks, you should take him seriously. So suffice it to say, Cuba is a disaster. It's run by incompetent, senile men, and in some cases, not senile but incompetent nonetheless. It has no economy. It's in total collapse. And by the way, they were, all the guards that helped protect Maduro. This is well known. Their whole spy agency, all that were full of Cubans. This poor island took over Venezuela in some cases. One of the biggest problems that Venezuelans have is they have to declare independence from Cuba. They tried to basically colonize it from a security standpoint. So, yeah, look, if I lived in Havana and I was in the government, I'd be concerned.
This guy said if I lived in Havana and I was a part of the government, I'd be concerned. That's so crazy. That was Trump and Marco Rubio basically hinting at a Cuban invasion next. Seems like Trump is on an anti-socialist and corruption warpath, and all countries are literally on the table. Hopefully he'll do Canada next so that we can get the hell out of this damn socialist country. Now let's check out what does Mark Carney has to say about this whole situation. So these are Mark Carney's tweets. Yes, I still call them tweets. I literally don't know what else to call them. What am I still called? Like X's? Like whatever. Anyway, so Mark Carney never condemns Trump's actions, probably because he still needs to get along with the U.S. in terms of trade. He calls out Maduro's corruption, which is actually pretty base, and he says he's in contact with Machuto, which is the opposition leader, which Trump already says he won't be in contact with, which is strange. And then Carney affirmed Canada's support for a peaceful Venezuela led to transition of power and support, not in any detail because he probably doesn't actually mean it, because he's nothing he can really do about it anyway, and he knows that China wants the resources of Venezuela and Trump's getting in the way. And Mark Carney is in China's pockets, obviously, and we all know that. He'll likely just sit there, he'll probably just sit this one out and probably do nothing, unless America literally invades us next. Fingers crossed. So yeah, then you look at Pierre Poilievre, super base. He thanks Trump for arresting the socialist dictator Nicolas Maduro, and shouts out Edmundo Gonzalez and Maria Machuto, the true winners of the election. He says, quote, "Down with socialism, long live freedom." And I couldn't agree more. Like, we need to get rid of socialism. It's destroying the earth. But yeah, it's pretty clear that Trump is on a warpath here, and he's going to affect Canada big time, especially our oil industry. Pierre actually sent a letter to Mark Carney basically saying, we're going to need a pipeline now, more than ever. Venezuela oil liberation into the hands of the U.S. means that they won't need any of ours. Most of their oil is similar to ours, heavy crude, which means that the race just started and the clock's ticking. The Venezuela oil infrastructure is completely garbage and outdated because of neglect by their former dictator, Maduro, and his predecessor, Chavez, which means it will likely take a few years till they can compete with us. So we're going to need that Alberta memorandum ASAP. I don't know why they're sitting on their hands. But anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in to Born Uncensored. Be sure to subscribe, hit that like button, and share it if you think this was valuable. I'm Joseph Bourne, and I'll see you next time. Peace.